Okay, we're going to look at problems 1 through 10, and then you're going to finish the rest of this worksheet for the assignment. So I'm going to look at number 1. We have 5g minus 3f of n. So I'm going to take 5 times g and subtract 3 times f of n. So let me go ahead and grab a marker. So we're going to go 5 times g of n. And these were based on our properties we talked about yesterday, minus 3 times f of n. So I'm going to take 5 times whatever g of n is. Now g of n is this part right here, this 2n plus 2. So I'm going to take g of n out, and I'm going to replace it with 2n plus 2, and I'll use a different color and show you. So 2n plus 2 is what g of n is, this part here in red. Okay, then I'm going to go minus 3 times, okay, dot for multiplication, times f of n. Well, f of n is this right here, negative n. So I'm going to replace f of n with negative n, and again I'll use a different color, so negative n there. And now I can simplify. Now it's just distribute, collect like terms. So we're going to go 5 times 2n. Positive 5 times positive 2n is 10n. And then we're going to go positive 5 times positive 2, which is positive 10. And then we'll have negative 3 times negative n, which is plus 3n. Now we collect like terms. We got a 10n plus a 3n is 13n plus 10. And there's your solution. So that will be what that equals right there. Okay. Next one, problem number 2, same kind of thing. I'm going to change things here. So we're going to take g of n. So we're going to take g of n right there. Use my lightsaber plus h of n. So we got g of n is that 3n minus 3, and then h of n is negative 4n minus 5. So I'm going to go ahead and take g of n, which is this part in black, 3n minus 3. And then I'm going to add h of n. So h of n is this negative 4n minus 5, so negative 4n minus 5. And then you have parentheses, and I like using parentheses to show that I replace the g of n and the h of n. Then I can say, hey, there's g of n plus h of n. Now, if there's nothing outside the parentheses to distribute besides a positive, then you can just drop the parentheses, because positives don't change anything. And we'll have plus negative 4n, which is really minus 4n if you want to write it that way, minus 5. Then we collect like terms. 3n minus 4n is negative n, and then minus 8. And there's your solution to g of n plus h of n. So far, so good. Number 3 and 4. Take a look at those. Same kind of thing. So we're going to have g times h of x. Now this is not g circle, this is g times h of x. So I'm going to take g of x, I'm going to multiply it times h of x is what this means. So we're going to take g of x, which is, I'll change back to my other cursor. So we're going to take g of x, which is this one right here, 2x minus 2. So I'll go 2x minus 2 in parentheses. I'm going to multiply it by h of x. So let's figure out what h of x is. Well, h of x is this x cubed minus x squared. So I'm going to go x cubed minus x squared. Now it's just a matter of multiplying things out. So I'm going to go 2x times x cubed is 2x to the 4th. 2x times negative x squared is minus 2x cubed. And that's first outer. Now I'll go to this right here. Negative 2 times x cubed is negative 2x cubed. We've got to make sure everything in the first one gets multiplied by everything in this one. So I've got negative 2 times x squared left, which will be positive 2x squared. And by the way, for those of you who forgot, when you're multiplying powers, when you're multiplying things with exponents, remember you add the exponents. Now we collect like terms, so there's only one x to the 4th, so we'll have 2x to the 4th. And then these two are like, so we'll have minus 4x cubed, and then plus 2x squared. So there's your solution. Next problem, very similar. We're going to have g of n times f of n. So we're going to take g of n, which is this n cubed, minus 4n. I'm going to multiply it by f of n, which is 4n plus 1. And I'm just going to FOIL. So we're going to have n cubed times 4n, so that's going to be 4 n to the 4th. And we're using it 10 to the 4th is because this is n to the 1st, and we just add the exponents. N cubed times 1 is plus n cubed. And then we have minus 4 times 4n would be minus 16n. And then we have minus 4 times positive 1 is negative 4. And none of the terms are alike, so there's your final answer. So that's what that would equal. There's what number 3 would equal. So again, fairly straightforward. 5 and 6. Number 5, we're going to take g plus h of t. So that means g of h, or g of t, plus h of t. So let's figure out what g of h is. Well, g of h is this 3t minus 4. So we're going to have 3t minus 4 plus h of t is this 4t minus 1. And then since it's a plus in between here, we're not foiling. We don't have to multiply here. So we're just going to see, is there anything outside the parentheses to distribute? And there's nothing outside here. There's nothing but a positive here. So we're just going to drop the parentheses. We're going to have 3t minus 4 plus 4t minus 1. And then collect like terms. That's a t there. 3t plus 4t is 7t minus 5. And there's your solution because your like terms are collected. Next problem is g of n divided by h of n. So I'm going to take g of n divided by h of n. And remember, we talked about this yesterday, h of n cannot equal 0. So we'll talk about that in just a second. Okay? So we're going to take g of n, which is this, which is n cubed plus 3n. Sorry, my son is being loud. Divided by h of n, which is 3n minus 1. And really, there's going to be nothing to do because we can't divide these because this is a quantity in parentheses and this is a quantity in parentheses. So you can't divide out individual stuff. And then provided the denominator 3n minus 1 is not allowed to equal 0. So if you solve that, let's see what would not be able to equal 0. If you solve that, you'd add 1 to both sides. You'd be 3n cannot equal 1. And then divide by 3, n cannot equal 1/3. And if you think about that, if you let n equal 1/3, if you were to plug that in there, you would get, think about it, you would get 3 times 1/3 minus 1. The 3's would cancel there, and you'd end up with 1 minus 1, which is 0, which gives you 0 in the denominator. That's why we don't want n to equal 1/3, because we get 0 in the denominator. And remember, we talked about that yesterday. You can't divide by 0. So that's what we need to put there. So final answer there would be this, with the n cannot equal to 1/3. Okay? And that'll be a little bit tough to talk about, but we'll talk more about that. Here's the next problem. It's number 7. So we're going to have f of x. Oh, sorry, I moved the paper. So we're going to have f of x plus g of x. We got f of x is 3x minus 5 plus g of x is x cubed minus x squared. And since it's adding, since we're adding here, let me show you, since we're adding here, we can go ahead and we don't have anything to distribute outside here, so we can go ahead and just drop the parentheses. This is not multiplication, it's addition. And then we'll just collect like terms and put it in descending order. So there's no like terms, there's an x cubed there, so we're going to go x cubed, that one's done. Minus an x squared, that one's done. Plus a 3x, because it's a positive 3x, we add it. One's done, and then minus 5 because it's a negative 5, and there's your answer when you add those two together. Or that's what that would be anyways. Next one, a little more interesting. We got negative 4 times f of t minus 3 times g of t. And you don't have to put the dot for multiplication, and I usually don't. So we're going to take negative 4. Alright, and then we're going to multiply it by whatever f of t is. So f of t is this part right here, this t cubed plus 4. So let's grab that, t cubed plus 4. And then we're going to have minus 3 times g of t. Now g of t is this part right here. Sorry, I keep grabbing the wrong thing. Is the 3t plus 3. So we're going to have 3t plus 3. Now it's just distribute and collect like terms. So we're going to distribute the negative 4. So I have negative 4t cubed. I have negative 4 times positive 4, so it's minus 16. Negative 3 times 3t would be negative 9t. And then negative 3 times 3 would be negative 9. And collect like terms, you go in descending order, negative 4t cubed minus 9t, because that one comes next. And then we have a minus 16 minus 9, so it's going to be negative 25. And there's your answer for that one. And that's what that would equal. Last two problems, we got f of n plus g of n. So we're going to take f of n. Actually, I don't even need to write that. Okay, let's go back here. So we're going to do f of n, which is the n squared minus 3n. And we're going to add g of n, which is negative 3n plus 5. Again, we're adding, so we don't have to FOIL or anything. This is just addition. There's nothing in front of the parentheses to distribute, so we can just go ahead and drop the parentheses and add things. Now, if there was subtraction here, you would have to distribute that negative, which would change the signs in here, but since it's a positive, it doesn't. So we're going to have plus negative 3n, and then plus 5. So we got n squared. It's only n squared we got. We got negative 3n plus a negative 3n is minus 6n, and then plus 5. And there's your final solution to that one. Last one is h plus g. It'd be h of x plus g of x is what that means. So we're going to take h of x, which is 4x, and we're going to add g of x, and I'll put that 4x in parentheses even though we don't necessarily need it. X squared plus 4, which is the g of x. Okay, now we can drop the parentheses because there's nothing to distribute. And then we can collect like terms, which there are none, so we'll just put it in descending order. And just for good measure, I'm going to show you what would have happened if this would have been h minus g. If it would have been h minus g of x, then the same idea. It would have just been h of x minus g of x. So h of x is the 4x. Same thing as before, minus the g of x, which is the x squared plus 4. Now, here's where you get the difference in the subtraction. Subtraction, you got to distribute that negative. So you had 4x minus x squared minus 4. It would change all the signs in here. So then the final answer would be negative x squared plus 4x minus 4. So you could see how that one would be a little different. So now your homework is going to be to finish the assignment. And I'm going to do one more just to get you started on the homework. So the rest of the assignment, it's actually going to have numbers plugged in. So we're going to have 2 times f of 8. So we're going to figure out 2 times whatever f of 8 is. Well, you're going to go to the function f, and you're going to say, okay, it's n squared, but I'm going to plug an 8 in. So it's going to be 2 times f of 8, and f of 8 would just be 8 squared, minus 2 times g of 8. Well, g of 8 is going to be plugging 8 in for n right there, so it's going to be 2 times 8 minus 5. So it's going to be 2 times 8 minus 5. And then now orders of operations. Remember PEMDAS, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So make sure you do your parentheses first inside your parentheses first. So we're going to have 2 times 8 squared, which is 8 times 8, which is 64, minus 2. And then doing the parentheses here, we're going to have 2 times 8, which is 16. 16 minus 5 is 11. Okay? 2 times 64 is 128, minus 22. And then 128 minus 22 would just be 106. So this is actually, you're actually going to get a numerical answer when you plug these in. And you'll go through and finish the assignment, and 12 through the rest of the problems. I think it goes up to problem 30. And that'll be it. So work hard and get it done, and we'll go over this tomorrow.